Why don't we go ahead and call this meeting to order? And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So before we get started today, now that the dust of the election season is beginning to settle, I just want to congratulate my opponent, Christine Grant, on her successful campaign for the PUD Commission. Christine ran a very active campaign, well supported. She did a great job of articulating her message, and with her background in energy policy, she'll certainly bring some great skills to the commission. So I also want to thank you, many of you, for supporting my campaign. And I particularly want to thank the staff for the work that they do to make this organization such a great place. I've said many, many times over the past 12 years that when you sit in the seat of an elected official, you really need to trust the people that you're working with, that they're giving you good information and they're working hard every day to make the place a better place to work and a better organization. And I have never doubted that for one moment. It's just been an absolute joy for me to work with this organization. And I trust that you will, and I know the staff will show Christine every courtesy that you all showed me when I first got on the commission and was trying to find my way and how best to benefit the organization. So again, congratulations, Christine. Welcome aboard. We have some business to attend to today, so I'd like to move forward with the approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as it reads.
I'll second that.
I do have, thank you for that motion and that second. I do have one question. Item number 10, we have two items that say new business, item 5 and item 10. Is there a reason that item number 10 is after our executive session? Yeah, John.
Can address that, Commissioner. So one of the matters in the potential litigation discussion is going to be regarding a claim brought by Methods Homes. We are going to address that to give you the background in executive session. Then there's a settlement that we'll be recommending that we'll be discussing. And so we want to do that after the executive session. So that is wise, because there is potential action on that matter.
Okay.
I'm sorry that you got an email late last night because the settlement agreement terms weren't finalized till after 7 last night. We had this as a placeholder, waiting to hear back and get the final terms resolved. And so I apologize for late walking the substance onto the agenda, but we put it on the regular agenda so that it was ready to go when we had it. So it's in your email, Ben, and I'll give you a summary overview of this in the open session as well as in the executive session.
Okay, thanks for that explanation. So good. With that, we have a first and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And that is carried. How about a motion for the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
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 And that's carried. Old business, budget, customer meeting.
Commissioners, just we had this on here just because we had 2 customer meetings, group meetings, Cherry Point customers and the Grandview I-5 Northgate customer meetings last week. And just wanted to update you on results of those meetings. We had good attendance from the Cherry Point customer group. I'll call them all our major customers were engaged, and a lot of good questions, a lot of give and take. Annette, of course, provided a great presentation and was able to answer 99.9% of the questions that came up. And I thought it was really interesting to hear from a couple of the customers out there how in-depth their interest was in terms of such things as financing, debt finance, and major projects that we've got on our capital project list. I think it's fair to say that there was from that group, there were no concerns at all raised in terms of what the budget looks like right now. Annette was able to talk a little bit about potential rate increases or changes. And again, I didn't hear any concerns raised by that group. The Grandview I-5 Industrial Park group, we only had one customer attending, and that customer actually was a husband and wife team that owned some property in the Grandview area. Their concern was really not about the budget, but about some of the billing that they've been receiving on their new project out at Grandview, and staff will follow up with that. So all in all, I think that the presentations were good, and again, we reminded all the participants that they can still provide input to staff before our budget hearing on November 24th.
So Steve, just to reiterate our schedule, so we'll have a public hearing on the 24th, and then in our first meeting in December is when we'll move for approval of the budget, correct?
That's our expectation. That's the schedule right now, yes.
Okay, great. And I know each of the commissioners was intending to schedule time with both you and Annette to have those meetings been scheduled.
Yeah, two of them have been scheduled, so.
Okay. So, and it would be helpful if those were scheduled this week to give everybody adequate time to react to any discussions. So, okay.
That's right. Yes, we'd appreciate that so that staff can be as prepared as we can after the public hearing on the 24th to have a dialogue with you, the commissioners, before we develop the final budget for your consideration in December.
Great. Very good. You're not requesting any action today. This was just a report?
Yes.
Okay. Do either of my fellow commissioners have questions for Steve at this point?
No, I don't. I'm really glad we're doing of course, it's an annual process, and I think we do it well. So if there's anything significant, we'll hear, right, as far as comments from customers.
Very good. Well, if there are no other questions, we'll move on to new business. It doesn't look like under item number 5 there is any new business. Is that correct, Steve?
That's correct. We just wanted to leave it on the agenda as an opportunity if something came up this morning or between the time we sent out the agenda and this morning. So we didn't want to eliminate the opportunity to add something.
Okay.
But we don't have anything at this time.
Great. Well, then I think we'll move right into your report, General Manager report.
Commissioners, I actually don't have anything. I was initially thinking that we just talk about the budget and customer meetings under General Manager's report, but I felt that it was important to have it as a separate item. And so I don't have anything else. We will have some discussion in the next week or so. We'll be getting out more material to the commission on anything that comes through from our associations, the WAPUDA and the WAPA and Energy Northwest, those things. We'll be getting a lot of updates and meetings scheduled and so forth. That'll be coming out the next week or so. But as of today, I don't have anything specific. So.
John, you had your hand up?
I did one little report that might tail into the general manager's report. I'll update on the governor's orders. The expiration date for a number of the governor's orders was last night. The legislature did extend those to December 7th yesterday. We received word, yesterday morning, and received a draft of a potential modification on the OPMA, the Open Public Meetings Act suspension, to try to allow more people to attend in person, but it's subject to limitations. One, you can meet outside with larger groups as you would with any kind of outdoor event, not conducive this time of year. They are also going to allow an expansion of the number of people that can attend in person. If up to, I think it's, if I recall, the draft was 10 people in person, socially distanced, and everyone must wear masks present inside. I think that's going to become an implementation dilemma. I've already heard from a number of our municipal clients, given that there will be feedback because everyone will have their own computer and mic. And so using Zoom or Teams, these virtual things with everyone present in a room, will have implementation problems. This has been a consistent issue with the governor's orders of, it's a nice idea, but how do you implement them in real life? I don't expect this to be a change for most municipal governments from what we're doing now with Zoom and Teams, because we've adapted. But I want to let you know that we expect later today or tomorrow a modification to that order on public meetings.
Very good. Thanks. Yeah, the concept of a really open, out in the air, open meeting this time of year would not be very acceptable. Although the beer garden at Boundary Bay Brewery is quite lovely, but not at 8 o'clock in the morning. Good. Atul, you had your hand up?
Yes. I wanted to ask Steve if it would be appropriate for us to talk about the Watershed Management Board, because it happened between the last PUD meeting and this meeting. And I don't know if any of the other commissioners are on that meeting, but I thought that we should talk about what happened.
I think it'd be appropriate, Commissioner. And I think that, you were fully engaged in that. Why don't you lead off?
Okay. So the last Watershed Management Board, I would say the bulk of the conversation was about adjudication. There was a presentation from Ecology explaining the need for adjudication from their perspective. Their reasoning was that water rights are not clarified in the Nooksack Basin, and there's a high need for clarification, and you can't have good water management practices in the Nooksack Basin without it. I believe that after that, the county executive presented his proposal, and the proposal has 3 aspects to it. One is the 5 points, which are, as John and others have pointed out, are not exactly the same 5 points that the Lummi Nation originally proposed. The second element is that the county executive wants to play the role of facilitator, and even set aside funds for mediation, which it's important to differentiate. I'm sure we all know this, between facilitation and mediation. They're very different things. The county executive plans to budget $250,000 for this next year to finance that. Outside contractors or things like that. And then the third aspect is that he, let's see, the 5 points, the facilitation, and the third aspect is that he wants to receive the input of the various participants in the community on this plan, and he recognizes the county doesn't have a significant water right, but he wants to play the role of he himself wants to be facilitator. So Steve, can you help me out here? Help me think if I'm missing anything here.
I think that's a good summary. I think that most folks on the call that day recognized this, lack of clarity as to how this would move forward, having the county, the county executive and the county quote lead on this facilitation, and whether it comes under the watershed management board, or if it's going to be directed or led by a mediator that is a third party, and how that would really be accomplished. I think that it seemed to me that it was a real moment of clarification by ecology that they are bent on moving forward with adjudication. And so I think that it's going to be a real challenge for the county executive working with the county council to develop this quote facilitation, but at the same time set the table for a real third party mediation process. But I thought it was, I thought it was an excellent discussion, but I do think that it really, again, highlights the complexity of how this is going to move forward, bringing everybody on a watershed management board, including the tribes, to the table, if you would, and at the same time dealing with, with the Department of Ecology's push hard on the adjudication.
So thank you, Steve. I recalled how for clarifying about the watershed management board. So I apologize. I'm going to restate the summary because it just came crisp into my head. There are actually 4 pieces. First is the 5 points. Second, the role of the executive wants to be facilitative, including put resources aside. Third is that he wants to use the watershed management board as the entity to oversee this unofficial negotiation meetings. And the fourth element is to request a delay from the Department of Ecology in the initiation of adjudication.
Right.
I'd like to quickly address those. The first is the 5, sorry, Mike, you want to, should I stop? Or?
I'll just say after you're done, I'd like to get both yours and Steve's input about where do you think the PUD fits in this and where do you think our part in this, but go ahead, Arturo.
Yeah, I've tried not to editorialize, which I so easily do. So I'll wait to finish the attempt to do my job and report back to you gentlemen, whose opinion I truly value on this. So on these 4 points, the first point being the using the 5 points that he's listed in that memo, which are not the same as the Lemmy's 5 points, but similar. There was no extensive discussion on that, and I don't believe that that's we could use any 5 initial discussion points, and particularly if the county is facilitating, we could start with any 5 points. They can evolve to the right 5 points and flesh out as appropriate. The role of the county executive as a facilitator. Nobody minds county executive putting money to help the community resolve this issue. So that there seems to be this seems to be non-controversial. Everybody seems to be supportive of that idea. Asking for a delay, that's controversial. I would say that in the meeting, most notably, Merle Jefferson came out very clearly against the idea of any delays. The tone of ecology also didn't seem very much in favor of a delay or postponement. And then fourthly, using the watershed management board, I personally, and it's something that I'm not sure about because watershed management board is doing so much of the oversight of the work to plan and improve our watershed, the Nooksack Basin. So I wonder how effective it would be to have it being both doing that and dealing with negotiations too. It could create friction that's already going to be a problem with constructive action. So I'll stop with my at that point. And then when I come back, I speak again, I'll answer Mike's question.
Mike?
Are you asking me about, I'm
Well,
sorry,
I was
Jeff.
waiting. I was sorry, Mike. I was just waiting to see if Steve had more to clarify on what I said.
Not a clarification as much as this, I think the thing that consistently comes up in these discussions between ecology and I'll just say all folks local is that ecology has still not willing to discuss their role in trying to move a local effort forward at the same time that an adjudication is proceeding. And the age-old question that we've raised to them many times is, how does ecology come to develop a real partnership with the local effort, whether it's watershed management board or a negotiated process or whatever it is. And they consistently over the last several months have said, well, an adjudication should proceed. That's the only way we're going to settle, water rights. But at the same time, we support, a local process, but that's all just, straw chaff in the wind, because until they are willing to really put their, the Department of Ecology at the table politically and financially supporting that local effort, it doesn't mean anything. So
Can I ask where this was left? Because this whole idea of a delay, I think, is central to the county executive's entire plan. And if you can't get DOE to play ball or the tribes, I think it's going to be a significant issue. How is it left? What are the next steps? What's the next check-in point? Is there another opportunity to kind of move that discussion along?
So yesterday, yes, Jeff, addressing your question, and I'll move on to Mike's question. The next steps, and I think you're exactly right, it is a key piece of the executive's proposal. So to make certain of that, what is a potential compromise? The Ag Water Board is meeting with the Lummi Nation. It's a mutual request, mutual desire in December. Date's still not finalized. And I raised in yesterday's WID meetings, I attended the Laurel and Bertrand Creek WID yesterday. And, adjudication was on to both of their agendas. And Henry was aware of it, but I just made sure that both WIDs were aware that that this a time delay or a postponement of adjudication is probably an important thing for them to resolve if they can. In yesterday's meetings, I got firsthand information about how adjudication as a priority has redirected funds that the Ag Water Board and the WIDs have towards actions that have that are not related to watershed improvement, because that's what WID stands for, Watershed Improvement District, and more towards a communication and support for legal development efforts, paying for their time off for their lobbyists. And I think it was a very clear and honest statement from several of the people participating, farmers participating in the WIDs, that it will be very hard to continue to do the improvement work that they are doing while at the same time managing a legal challenge. Nothing impossible, but it'll be pretty hard to do so.
Mike,
So I think you're right on, Jeff, about the importance.
Mike, did you have a question that you wanted to raise?
Well, I was wanting to hear from O'Toole and Steve, because I'm starting to understand, what was said, what they heard, but I didn't understand what the role possibly could be of the PUD, or is that coming up that they want something special from us? I like what I heard, but I didn't know if there was anything else regarding the PUD.
So the PUD's role in the county executive's adjudication is what I can talk to, because that was what the focus of the meeting was: ecology's rationale for adjudication and the Whatcom County executive's response to the adjudication. It didn't go into what the other parties who are at the Watershed Management Board, what they're doing and what they ought to do. But implied in the county executives in taking the lead in the discussions is that the PUD would have to be a participant, an active participant in that process, which would imply that we would have to work to figure out how to resolve the 5 points in a way that works for the PUD and the people we represent. So that's what we would start from. I mean, if this in general gets embraced, this is what we would start from: is the 5 points, and recognizing they're not the Lummi 5 points, but they're slightly different, and that we would want to really develop a series of meetings for the purpose of fleshing all of those things out. What is practicable in those 5 points?
Yeah.
For now, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like there certainly will be more information to come as this continues to develop. Steve, was there anything more that you wanted to add before we move on?
No, I know that in our executive session, we will be discussing the issue of adjudication and the potential, impact and the position on our water rights and the position that, what we need to do to move forward under the current proposal by the county executive and the Department of Ecology's adjudication request.
Very good. Okay, thank you. Why don't we go ahead then and move on to commissioner reports. Mike, do you have anything that you have by way of a commissioner report?
I really do not, but that doesn't mean that I just sit at home. I'm busy out trying to see as many people that will see me. I'm not as good on this Zoom as the rest of you are, so I like to meet people in person. So I have been trying to follow what's going on in Whatcom County, and I'm meeting with business, owners, contractors. I'm meeting with farmers, and I'm also meeting with real estate agents just to kind of get an idea where's Whatcom County at this moment and where do they think we are going to be going in the next few years. And I think everybody's just sitting back right now and trying to figure it out themselves. No one's telling me, anything more than I expected, but I just didn't want to make it sound like when I give a report, nothing. That doesn't mean I haven't done something.
No one's accusing you of sitting in your lounge chair. No, thanks for your presence in the community. Atul, how about you?
I attended the PERMS meeting, and there were 2 things that came out of that meeting. The first is a continuing concern of PUDs over fire. In the past, when I reported to the commission, I said, well, that's not our problem. But I'm recognizing that, well, we pay into a pool. And if there's a fire that affects another PUD, well, we get affected too. So I had a follow-up meeting with Annette specifically regarding that and some of the things related to the budget, and tried to quantify how the pool risk of things like fires can impact our PUD. And it seems to me, although it's significant in the order of could be tens of thousands, it's not catastrophic. It doesn't appear to be anyway. That was a big topic. There is a fear in the subject of fire that there's, and please forgive me, John, there was the term, the not appropriate term that was used in terms, I'll just repeat it, ambulance chaser culture showing up as it relates to PUDs. Some people refer to people that who are in the legal profession who look for crises, people who get injured as a way to file a lawsuit. But the concern among some PUD commissioners is that there's starting to be that kind of culture around fires. And so people who are looking for the kind of extreme events around forest fires to look for a potential for legal action and financial reparations for that legal action. And so I really think that, I don't know if that's a founded thing. Sometimes we have fears that are not substantiated. I think there's examples of that in many areas. And so I don't know if that's a real substantiated claim. There's a lot of talk about fire, but I'm so far not seeing any real significant risk to our PUD through the PERMS system as it relates to that. The other topic, John, do you want to talk to that topic? You're on speak.
Sorry, thank you. This is semi-related to the matter that we'll be addressing at the end of the meeting. And I'll just give a little history real quick, not necessarily forest fire related or wildfire related, but also on on fire related. About 10 to 12 years ago, there was the end of a series of litigations related to fire response and water for fire suppression and who was liable. Was it a general purpose government or a special purpose government? You can imagine we have a water line running down a road, someone wants to tap in, and we have no ability for hydrant or for fire service, and they're not a customer. So how do we recover our costs or protect ourselves? We don't have does the PUD as a special purpose government have an obligation to provide water for fire suppression or fire related facilities? What do we do about someone who comes to a standpipe and just hooks on a fire hose to try to fight a fire and there isn't adequate water, but they thought that was a fire hydrant facility, or the county issued a building permit based upon that without consultation with us? So there was a series of litigations in the 90s and early 2000s related to this. It led to what was called the Fire Pals legislation that I and a few other water district, fire district, and PUD lawyers involved in and pushing some legislation through so that we being the municipal entity, don't have liability for providing fire suppression facilities or services. So that, and we have, the PUD has adopted a series of policies around that, given this potential litigation and circumstances about how we provide water for fire flow, particularly since we have an interruptible supply of water, like we're experiencing with the potential adjudication. So we have existing policies, and that's related to what is the settlement that we're coming on, not that a fire occurred, but someone seeking fire supply water. That's what's on your agenda later today. Just to help tee that up later was related.
Okay, and the other issue that came up at the PERMS, thank you, John. The other issue that came up in the PERMS meeting was an increase in premiums for the overage insurance. So there's, when claims get larger than a certain amount, then there's this like backstop that exceeds the capability of the pool. And the Aetna, the carrier of that, has made a substantial increase in their premiums for that, which is 15%. Now that doesn't impact us 15% because there's so many components of what we pay to PERMS. It's a smaller impact. It may be in the neighborhood of and I probably, Annette was listening, she'd cringe at my attempt to make a guess, but I will say 5%. So please forgive me for saying something that was not founded. I'm just a commissioner. So I wanted to let you know that although it was it's a concern to have such a big, that's a huge premium increase. It's not impacting us that much in the near term. And those are the two issues that came out. I just want to say is that I'm still trying to fill my predecessor's shoes on this. I haven't run an insurance business for 3 decades. I'm doing my level best. Any questions and challenges from the other commissioners or staff, I'm very, very open to receiving, because keep me a little bit more awake during the meetings. And not to say that they're not exciting. I just wanted to say that I look forward to continue to report back and provide useful input to the commission.
Great. Thank you, Atul. Thanks for those reports. Why don't we go ahead and move into the public comment period then? Rebecca, are there participants that would like to express public comment on any of the issues?
I do not. Wait, I gotta get back into my attendee. Hold on a second. Yes, Rick Miracle. I'll unmute him. Okay, you should be able to talk. Not Rick, you can talk now.
Okay, thank you. I bet you're surprised that I have a comment. Actually, I have a couple things. One to note is that the link for this meeting was not on the PUD's homepage. The one that was there is the link for on the main homepage. The link for the October 27th meeting is what was there this morning when I looked.
Oh, I apologize. I thought that link was up there.
Oh. Anyway, I had to hunt around to find the link. But anyway, it would also be nice on these Zoom meetings if there would be some way that we could all see who from the public was attending this. Not that we have to have video or audio for it, just if there's some way to see a list of who else is attending. Which
Rick, at the bottom of your screen on your Zoom, there is a little, it's right at the bottom. It should say participants.
Nope, I don't see such a click at the bottom. I see right now the one for mute, raise your lower hand, Q&A, and then the leave button. That's all I see at the bottom of the Zoom screen.
Yeah, for attendees, they do not see the rest of the attendees.
Okay.
And then Rick, I had the same issue with the link on the website, and what I realized was I needed to refresh my browser because it retained cache from the last time I went out there. So all I did was I refreshed my browser, and the link for November 10th went live.
Okay.
If that makes sense. The same thing happened to me this morning, and I just refreshed my browser, and and then the link became live.
And I don't know, as far as multiple people on Zoom, I know John made a comment about this. I have attended a number of meetings where there have been upwards of 30 people on Zoom, and it worked just fine. I mean, you get and they were pretty much all video, so you get really small pictures, but it will work. And the last comment is about the county executive's proposal on water. And the problem there to me is that it doesn't even come close to covering all of the water interests in Whatcom County. He's only got but a handful of people that they're going to be negotiating. And I mean, there's over 5,000 certificated water rights in Whatcom County, and there's well over 15,000 water rights that are held by virtue of exempt wells. There's a lot of people. For comparison, the adjudication in the Yakima Basin included only 2,800 water rights, and it took 30 years. So having a negotiation with only but a handful of interests and then trying to apply that to everyone is it was probably, I don't know, John could probably speak to this, but I could not understand how that could be legal, that you can make it legally binding on all the people who have interest but didn't have a say in the negotiation. So this thing, that's just something to keep in mind when talking about negotiation or even adjudication. It's going to be vastly complicated.
Complicated because it's complicated.
Thanks,
Thank
Greg.
you.
Rebecca, anyone else?
Yes, Christine Grant. I'm putting her to, let's see, allowed to talk. There. That's weird. Well, don't. There, she should be able to speak now. There she is.
Hi everyone. Good morning. Just wanted to say a real quick thank you to Commissioner McClure for your kind words at the beginning of the meeting, and for the integrity that you ran your campaign with, and for all your service to our community, both at the PUD and in all the other work you do. And I look forward to starting my term in January, and I'm going to be working hard coordinating with Steve to connect with staff and be ready to hit the ground running in January. So just wanted to mention that quickly, and thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Christine. Atul?
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that, I didn't do it in the commission reports. I took the opportunity to, at least real briefly, and I'll get the opportunity again soon to tell you, Jeff, how much I appreciate all you've done for this community by way of the PUD, and I have some glimpse of what you've done outside that in the community, and I just think it's been, wanting you to know that it's been an absolute pleasure to serve with you at the PUD, and you've been an exceptional chair, and it made a world of difference for me coming in, and of course the staff amazing, but it's also the commission that's been amazing and supportive of me as a new commissioner. And I just think that this will be my first opportunity to embarrass you, but it's not over yet.
Well, given all that's
You
going
can't
on,
get away.
given all that's going on in this political season, I think there should be at least one example of a peaceful transition of power. Let's start here. Well, good. Thank you, Atul. Any other public comment?
No,
Just one, if I'm still on, while you were doing this one, I went out and I refreshed my, the PUD website several times, and it still showed the October 27th regular meeting. It did not show.
this is Rebecca. I will look into that because I checked when I uploaded that last week and it seemed to be working fine. So I'll figure out what happened, Greg, and I apologize.
Just take a look, figure out what's going on.
Okay, will do.
Rebecca,
Yes.
is there any way to hear from Dave Olson? Is he with us?
Well, I can see if he wants to talk. Yes, he is.
I'd at least like to know what's going on in his area on the water in Whatcom County. If he doesn't want to, we can do it another time.
Dave,
know
are
I'm
you there?
I'm here.
There you go.
I'm going to gently defer to Steve. We've been really actively working on the PUD's water system plan, but we're on a hold in order to better accomplish the capital needs there. And so we're waiting on some updated information. So I'll let Steve, keep you all informed on that process. It'll get very busy here. I'm expecting after the first of the year and timing wise regarding that item. And then in general, I would say there hasn't been a big push. Sorry, I've got the screen on the wrong screen, so I'm looking the wrong way here. In general, there hasn't been a lot of demand from the general public, the smaller water systems. We're engaging a little more with group B's. There's been some requests from that, so it hasn't been very active in that. But I can tell you as the word comes out and the understanding of what adjudication might look like in response to some of the comments that I have heard during the meeting today, I would say there's fear and trepidation of the unknown by vast majority of the systems that the PUD comes in contact with under their technical support program. They don't know where to turn. They're hearing discussions from farmers about how they're building war chests, rumors that they're going to expect to spend $20,000 to $50,000 a year to defending themselves in legal challenges. Just the rumor mill that's going on. And so, and how do you coordinate these systems? All the water systems outside cities are the people who serve a large quantity of the customers. And so there's a lot of concern and fear out there. And they're asking the questions, and we haven't really brought them back to the PUD because we really haven't had a chance to talk about what role the PUD may be able to play. Maybe they can facilitate something. It's just very, a lot of questions being answered right now. And so I guess to come back and say, we're not really participating in any of that discussion. We're not providing any technical assistance in that area because it really hasn't been, brought to Steve or the commissioners as to what role we might play. So we're very guarded. I think that'll make John happy in having any discussions about that. Other than moderate technical support on an ad hoc basis, things are pretty quiet right now. So, and I'll just leave it to Steve. We've had discussions about various areas and leave it to him to pick up from there. But thank you for asking.
Well, thank you for coming on. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but you did a great job answering a lot of questions. And I'm probably going to be giving you a call now because of some of the things you brought up. So,
oh, great.
Just heads up.
Thanks, Dave. Steve, anything to add?
I just think that, and I appreciate Dave's comments, and I appreciate Commissioner Murphy's question to Dave, because I think it just highlights, Dave's comments and what he's hearing out in the community just highlights the need for the PUD to have a much more in-depth discussion about what role we are going to be playing as the potential negotiation process moves forward along with, the adjudication and basically all things water, not for all things water in the county so much as all things water for what the PUD, where the PUD plays in the sandbox, so to speak. So I think it just really highlights that need to have that discussion with, with the commission and, how are we going to move forward?
Yeah, very good. Anyone else on public comment, Rebecca?
I do not see anyone else, no.
All right. So we will have what I think is going to be a rather lengthy executive session today. It's going to be difficult to predict exactly how long that would be, but John, if you're a betting man, what time?
I will say we will be an hour. We'll come back out and notify if there's an extension. Candidly, I think we'll most likely be through 10:30, but
Okay.
I will say an hour. I think I heard from somebody at one point that there may be a commissioner with a conflict after 10:30. I don't, for some reason in my mind, I recall that, but may not be the case. I would tell you that there is potential action on the Method Homes matter that's on the agenda. And there is there's two potential litigation matters as mentioned earlier in the meeting, the Method Homes and then the water right adjudication. That will be the last executive session item, the adjudication. And the second one will be the performance evaluation of the general manager. The first item we'll deal with is the Method Homes.
For my part, I would need to be wrapped up with everything by 11 o'clock, not 10:30.
Okay.
Okay. That sounds good. All
We'll
right.
come out and give an announcement at 10 p.m. That's an hour and 10 minutes away.
So given the fact that it's going to be an extended executive session, let's give ourselves 3 minutes here for a break. And then it's 10 to 9, so we'll reconvene at 7 minutes to 9. 7 minutes to 9.
Could I have a few more minutes? Because I can.
Yeah. How many minutes do you need?
Just 2 more minutes. So I have
2 more minutes. Okay. 8:55. 8:55. We'll resume an executive session. Thank you all.
I'm not sure if Steve's back.
Oh.
Mike, go tell him, go ahead without me because I'm having trouble with it.
Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. Steve can hear. He can listen in.
And we can hear you too, Steve. So we just have one item to take up, and that's the settlement recommendation regarding Method Homes.
So this came out, this was on your agenda last week. It was posted, the agenda packet came out yesterday. Just background really quickly, and we touched on some of the background issues in the open session as well. There was this relates to fire supply at Northgate and Grandview Water Systems. In 1993, the PUD executed a water system takeover agreement with the then developers of those projects to take over the water system. One of the aspects of that takeover was that the certain lots within the parcels within the binding site plans would not have to pay a connection fee for the connection to the water system. Since that time, the district has adopted by commission resolution an $8,000 connection fee for connection to its fire system. So they're disputing the obligation for that. Also, since that time of that contract, there was significant litigation in the state regarding liabilities for fire protection facilities provided to property owners or the community, and who was responsible and the authority to charge or who might be liable. That resulted in what's called the Fire Pals legislation that the PUD actively participated in developing. We've developed a settlement agreement where the district would not assess the connection fee. In exchange, the lot owners would recognize and acknowledge the existing liability limitations in state law and further release the district from liability related to the provision of fire suppression of services and facilities, including water. So we are proceeding with that, recommending that the commissioner approve the settlement agreement and authorize the general manager to sign that. It's subject to final approval by the general manager in my office, basically to approve the legal description and to confirm the entity's names. We've since learned that it's Method Homes Limited Liability Company, and that it's Brian Abramson, not Ben Shafton, that are the interested parties in these parcels. So we would encourage a motion to authorize the general manager to execute the settlement agreement. We don't see this as a significant financial liability to the district. There's only roughly 10 lots that are undeveloped that would pay a connection fee. And over the course of time, that's not seen as a significant part of the district's obligations regarding the maintenance of these facilities or its debt related to the Vista Line Road extension. I don't have anything else to add for this commission unless there's further questions, or Mr. Joke, you have a question for me.
Is there any discussion? If not, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion for approval.
I can make that motion regarding the water system serving the Northgate and Grandview binding site plans. The motion will be to approve the subject of final approval by the general manager and district legal counsel.
And that's for that settlement agreement. Thank you.
For the settlement agreement, yeah.
The motion has been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 That is carried. Thank you very much. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Very good. That concludes the meeting. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.